Hello, Mutts. I am Devin Shepherd,
And I'm David B. Jacobs.
and we're here with a mini-sode. I feel like it's been so long since we've had a guest on our mini-sode, but we're excited today to bring you Gigi from Room for Scream. Gigi is a horror creator with a passion for getting lesser-known indie films out there for the public to know about. You're a YouTuber, podcaster, TikToker, all the things. Gigi, welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
I've been following your journey through watching every horror film of 2024.
Yes. Yes, it's definitely been a journey, and kind of like what you said, I love getting lesser known movies out there to the public, and so this obsession kind of started at the end of last year, where I would just like kind of create a list of all these like new horror movies coming out and like where you can watch them, because that's where you always find like the hidden gems, just the bigger movies that or the little movies that people don't know about. And so I would create all these like little lists and I would check them out and I'd be like, "Oh my god, like I found this hidden gem. I have to let everybody know about it." And then like I would have either the cast members, the crew, directors like
Ooh.
commenting like, "Thank you for pushing our movie." And I'm like, "Yeah, of course." And so I was like, I'm going to make it my goal like in 2024 to watch every movie, because there's bound to be some hidden gems in there that like nobody knows about, or even just for people to realize that horror isn't just like what we see in the theater, and it's just a broad spectrum of things. And so just to get those, littler indie films out there. And so I started it, and I've only reviewed like on TikTok about like 95. I think I'm on my
Oh
95th,
my
but
gosh.
God, I think I've watched like 150 movies. So I'm behind on my reviews, but I definitely bit off a lot. But I'm slowly trucking through them.
Yeah, I so appreciate that. David and I are both filmmakers, and I was like, "Oh my god, I love that someone is giving attention to these small movies that, like, nobody gets to talk about." And I just wanna be clear with our listeners, these aren't the movies that are, like, showing up on Shudder and Screambox, like, you are digging into the
Yes.
Amazon files and, like, finding the ones that really have 5 views.
Ooh.
Literally, and bless these people's heart, but there is this one movie that came out, and I won't name it unless people really want to know the name of it, but it was like, they had to have filmed it on their iPhone, and
Mm.
they pushed it on like their personal Instagrams. It wasn't a great movie. The premise was very silly, and it came out on YouTube, and I still was like, okay, I'm still going to pay the $10 to watch this. And I felt really bad because the director, he saw my really negative review and he reached out and he's like, "I'll refund you." And I was like, "Absolutely not." I was like,
Oh
"I'm
my
sorry that I
god.
didn't like your film, but like, this is why I do it. Like, I watch it because maybe I'll like it, maybe I won't, but I'm still going to pay for your movie." Like,
Right, yeah,
so
at least he got the $10, like, that's really nice.
exactly. I'm like, that's all that matters. So I think it's hard. Like, I'm not a filmmaker. I can't even imagine how absolutely difficult that is to make a film. I don't even know where you would start. I feel bad that there's like, when you're making it, there's so much love and passion and effort and money that goes into it. And so it's like something that you love and appreciate so much. And then when you put it out there into the world, it's like, yes, there are some people that are going to love it and appreciate it just as much, but then I'm sure you also have to brace yourself for people not liking it. And so it's like it's hard, but at the same time if they don't, it's like, well, at least somebody watched it. At least they watched the craft that I made, and that's just the way that I have to frame it for myself.
That is yeah, that is exactly what I think about when I put movies out there. I'm like, "Ugh, as long as they, like, know one thing and give one of my crew members a positive, like, 'Oh, the costumes were amazing. The rest of the movie, meh.'" I'm like, "Good. I'm so happy that our costume designer got a nod. Please."
Exactly. I feel like there is always something, even when people are like, "This is the worst movie ever made," or like, "It's not that good." I'm like, there's always something in there, whether it's the costume or an actor's performance, there's always something that's in there.
Well, I'm curious how you did come into horror because you said that you were doing reviews before. So were you writing in horror or, like, yeah, how did you come into it?
I've just always loved it, like, ever since I was a kid, I watched The Exorcist, I snuck it out of my grandma's,
As a
um
child?
Yes, as a
Oh my
child.
How
gosh.
old?
I was like, oh, I must have been like 7 or 8. And I know, I'm like, oh my God, I was like traumatized at the time because I was going to like Catholic school and I was just a child. And I was like,
Oh.
what is this? And I was like, I'm going to go to hell. But I feel like I've been chasing that high ever since. Like me and my cousin snuck it on my grandma's little like VHS cabinet. And I was just like, this is so cool. And my mom has always been very much into like Halloween, and she's
Mm.
let me and my older brothers watch scary movies within reason. We would watch spooky movies. And then when we'd go over to my dad's on the weekend, my dad was like, "Sure, whatever, you can watch this." And so and then you have 2 older brothers, and so it's like any chance that they could get to like scare you, and we would go outside with our camcorders and make like zombie movies because my brother is 4 years older than me. So he was in a totally another age range where he was like, "All right, let's be actually scary scary." And so I feel like I've just always been surrounded by this spookiness. And it's so funny. I just watched a home video the other day, and it was my dad chasing me around in this wolf mask that looked like Peach Fuzz from Creep. And then
Oh my
my
gosh.
whole family was like laughing, and they were like, "Oh, so this is where your love came from." I was like, "Yeah, dad just chasing me around the hallway."
We found the source, it was you.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So it's just been embedded into my bloodstream at this point.
I
That's
love
great.
that. I love that your mom was the one that got you into it because I feel like we hear all the dad stories. Yeah, I don't hear enough, like, moms loving horror.
Oh, my mom, and bless her heart, she'll probably listen to this, she's my biggest fan, but I remember when I was, like, 12 and I was sitting in my room and I was just, like, on the computer, or maybe I was, like, 13, but I was, like, sitting on the computer and all of a sudden I hear this tap at my window and I was like, "What the hell?" And I didn't have blinds at the time. I'm, like, looking out the window and I don't see anything and I hear the tap again and I look and then it's my mom and she's wearing this scream mask,
No.
and I know, and so it's like, I don't know what is wrong with my family. It's just within them to scare and wear masks, and it's hilarious. So, yeah, that's where I get it from.
Wow. For me, it was neither my mom nor my dad. For me, I'm just the weird one.
I love that, though. You found it on your own.
Mhm. I found it as I got older. As a kid, did not realize that I liked horror. I had
Mhm.
to figure that out, that, oh, all this, like, obsession with monsters and Scooby-Doo and werewolves and vampires and all that, that was because I liked horror.
Yeah. No, totally. I think that that's fair too.
I like that David had a gateway horror experience, watched the cartoons. Gigi just went straight for The Exorcist.
Yeah, no, literally. People are always, like, so surprised. Like, I jumped right in. They pushed me in the pool.
But off all this discussion of independent filmmakers, I'm currently making a movie that is a body horror throwback to like old monster movies. And we are right now in a Kickstarter campaign to raise the funds for post production. We've already finished filming the movie, it looks amazing.
It looks amazing.
Now we're cutting it together. We got to do the sound, the color grading, sending it out to festivals and actually getting it seen by people. So if you guys want, there will be a link to our Kickstarter in the description of this video.
Oh my gosh, this sounds so fun. Is that the title, Wild Animals?
Wild Animals.
Oh,
It's,
okay, I
It's
love
gonna be
it.
so good, David.
I'm excited for it. And we'll talk more about it later, but also if you want to know more, just go to that link and there's a whole thing about
Oh my
David
gosh,
made a
I'm excited.
video. If anyone wants to know what David looks like, they should go to the Kickstarter and watch the video. Well, I'm gonna get us started on our conversation for today. This one was very fun to pick out. We're talking about the top 3 horror films you wish more people saw. We had to go deep into the archives for this one, and we're pulling out some good ones.
it.
So, let's start with you, Gigi. What was your number 3 top favorite horror film you wish more people saw?
I think at number 3, I'm gonna go with the movie Sun from 2021. Have you guys
Sound like
seen it?
SUN or SON?
SON.
No, I don't think I've seen it. I love that we're starting off here.
This one, a lot of people don't know about it. I feel like it was when we were still, like, at home, like, working from home, like, during COVID time, because it's on Shudder. Says when a young boy contracts a mysterious illness, his mother must decide how far she will go to protect him from terrifying forces in her past. And it's kind of like a semi-religious, demonic type of movie, and I absolutely loved it, and I feel like a lot of people don't know it or don't talk about it. I just kinda got overlooked during, like, the height of when we were still working at home.
Watching Tiger King and, what horror
Exactly.
stuff were we watching then? I don't even remember.
I know. So, yeah, and I looked and it was only watched by 9,000 members, and I was like, "Oh, that's, like, really
Ooh,
low."
wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
I also didn't realize until I'm looking at this right now that Emil Hirsch was one of the executive producers. That's kinda crazy.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
weird.
Wasn't he
Hmm.
still, like, really canceled at that point?
I have no idea, and I actually don't even remember why he got
That the guy
canceled.
from Into the Wild?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
Okay.
really funny that that's the movie you picked. 'Cause that's the movie I think, but I feel like everybody thinks, like, Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Oh, was he in Autopsy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna come out of this with so many on my to watch list. David, what was your number 3?
Now I'm worried my number 3 is too seen.
I
I
know.
wasn't sure, like, how obscure to go, but basically the rules that I laid out for myself that had to have come out between 1980 and 2020. I didn't want anything
Oh,
too
okay.
recent in case it resurges. I didn't want anything too old because I could just pick any old movie. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
so my number 3, which has 68,000 ratings on Letterboxd, is Shutter from Thailand.
Yes.
And that's a fair one because it's on my watch list, but I still haven't watched it.
Alright, great. I got one that you
Yes.
haven't seen. I feel good now.
Yes. It's been on my watch list, like, since I first created my letterbox, and I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
It is about this couple. It starts with, like, the hit and run. They
Mhm.
seem to kill someone with their car, and then they drive off, and then they're getting haunted by this ghost. But there's a lot more to it than that. If that sounds like, "Oh, well, I've seen that movie a million times," no, you haven't.
Yeah.
That's what they want you to think the movie is about,
Yes.
and then they slowly reveal what it's really about. It is scary as fuck.
I love that. I need to watch it.
And it's so, like, it just makes you keep questioning these characters and what's going on with them, their dynamic. You question whether you should like them or not. You question who's even the actual villain in the movie.
Oh, I love that.
It's so, so good.
Who directed that?
Good question. I don't know.
Oh, no, Banjong Paisanthanakon, because he also directed The Medium, which I also
Oh.
haven't seen,
Oh.
but those are 2 movies that I'm like, I really need to watch because, like, he's very, very highly regarded.
It's actually co-directed. The other director is Park Poom Wongpoom, and I'm
Oh,
sorry
okay.
if I butchered that. I also looked up where this is streaming. So Shudder is actually free on Vudu. Vudu is usually the place for renting, but apparently Shudder is free on there. And I also just found it on YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
Just make sure that you're watching the Thailand movie and not the remake.
I was gonna say, there was a remake, wasn't
There
there?
was an American remake. I haven't seen it, but I understand that it is very bad. It has Rachel Taylor from Jessica Jones.
They gotta stop doing that. I feel like every Asian horror movie they try
Yeah.
to remake American, and I'm like, "Guys, just don't."
And it was in that era when they were remaking all of them, like, it was right after The Ring and The Grudge when
Yeah.
they were just like, "Okay, we're just gonna make our shitty remakes of all of these movies now."
Some of them, I don't know. I still stand by the Ring American remake as a great remake. It
Yes,
is frightening.
that started the trend because it was
Yes.
good.
Well, my number 3 was not a remake, but it is based off of a play. I chose a movie that was like a movie that has been on my everyone needs to watch this movie in so long. So it is horror, but I would say it's more like horror adjacent esque. It's terrifying. It's called Chat Room from 2010.
Huh,
No.
This is an English film directed by Hideo Nakata.
that's Ring.
That's Ring. I should have known that. I'm doing great today, guys. This movie is about so it's from 2010, so I feel like it's like right around the time that like chat rooms were kind of on the outs, right? Like
Yeah.
we had just already lived through the chat room life, but online bullying was starting to like really ramp up. And this movie is taking the online bullying scene specifically in, and I'm sorry for this, it's very dark, specifically in a suicidal realm where people were going online looking for answers. Teenagers were looking for answers for suicidal thoughts. And this movie explores a character that takes those thoughts and pushes these people to the edge. And they kind of form a suicide club
Oh
online.
my
Ooh.
gosh.
It is dark.
That's pretty crazy.
It's crazy. The main character, so we follow the main character is the one who is pushing these teenagers to like really go for it, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson,
Oh.
Oh,
like a
wow.
Wow.
young
Yeah.
pre-buff Aaron
Yeah.
Taylor Johnson.
Pre-buff.
He was a heartthrob at one point that was
Oh,
like starring
yeah.
in like rom-coms and stuff. And everything like takes place online, but the way that they build it in the movie is they do like really experimental sets where like everyone's sitting in a room, but the room is like really decked out and it's like supposed to represent the chat room. It's a really experimental, creepy film that I feel like everyone should watch.
Yeah, I need to put this on. I've never even heard of this, but I am definitely a sucker for anything like kind of internety. Like I
Yeah.
love Host and like
Yes.
Unfriended
It
and
sounds like
things like
Unfriended before Unfriended.
Exactly.
yes. I
Yeah.
love stuff like that.
I just went to add this to my watch list, and it's already on my watch list.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there he is pre-buff.
I guess I've already told David about this movie because I literally tell everyone to go watch this movie.
It might
That
have
is
also just come from going through Hideo Nakata's filmography.
There you go.
it has very little reviews too, only like 704, only like 9 so
Wow.
yeah, 704 reviews, that's a low amount of reviews.
Deep cut, Devin.
I found a no one watched this movie.
You
Yes,
did it!
deep cut.
Devin, you win. No, none of my picks will go that low.
I don't think my
Um,
other ones will either.
my lowest is 5K. I ordered mine in the order of obscurity.
Oh, okay, I
Oh,
like that.
okay. Okay, well, everyone go watch these. I really hope everyone has their Letterboxd out already and just, like, keep adding.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not usually like going through my phone as much during a recording, but I'm like, I've got to add this to my watch list. Got to add this to my watch list. Got to add this to
I
my watch
know,
list.
because people will say, like,
Yeah.
they'll throw out movies, and I'm like, unless I have my Letterboxd up and actually I'm like, I'll forget it.
Alright, let's see how obscure we go. Gigi, number 2.
Okay, so this one I don't think is that obscure, and I feel like people have seen this, but I still find myself catching people that haven't watched it, and that is The Clove Hitch Killer.
Yes.
I've heard of it. I
Oh.
have not seen it.
Okay, so at least one of you guys haven't seen it because it's got like 68,000 people that have watched it because it's on Netflix, it's on Hulu, but I freaking love this movie. I think people that are like kind of interested in that true crime realm would really like this. It's from 2018. It's about a teenage kid and he like suspects that his dad is this notorious serial killer of these really gruesome murders. So it's just so interesting. This one has Dylan McDermott, who's also in God, what else is he in?
He's in Scream 6, right? No? No, he's
No, no,
not.
no, no, no. He's not in Scream 6. He's in American Horror Story. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh,
He's in American yeah.
right.
That's a good one. Yeah, I feel like the horror true crime crossover, especially around this time, was so good and so hype. I am
Mhm.
also a true crime lover, so I was like, "This is it. We are at it. I love this crossover. This is when I can get all my true crime girlies into horror and all my horror people into
Yes.
true crime."
Exactly, exactly. I'm like, it makes such a good plot.
It's the most tense thing. I mean, your own father. And wow, yeah, this is getting hype. I see a lot of great reviews on this one. I will say I don't think I've seen this one and I was getting it confused with the Christopher Lloyd one, which I will have to remember at some point.
Yeah, if you remember it, let me know because I'm so curious. But The Clovage Killer, I appreciate the ending that they went with. I think like if they
Ooh,
had gone with any other ending, I'd have been like, but it was a nice little ending to it. So
that's a good tease. I like that.
yeah.
I am also now just like adding stuff to my letterbox. So I'm this is what happens when you like get in a room full of people talking about recommendations for movies.
Oh, totally. I have so many on my watch list too. It's getting out of
Yep.
control.
Oh, yeah, and I will never make a dent in it, and I am so mad about it.
Mm-mm.
All right, David, you said you're going more obscure for your number 2?
More obscure, also more old. So maybe when it came out, it wasn't as obscure, but now, like, people are starting to forget about it, and they really, really shouldn't because it's fucking amazing. And that is a movie which, Devin, I've told you about many times. It's called Brain Damage.
Yes.
Directed by Frank Henenlotter of Basket Case and Frankenhooker fame.
Yes.
Brain Damage is a movie that we will probably cover on this podcast at some point. By the way, my other rule is that I couldn't pick any movie that we've already covered on the podcast.
Same.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Brain Damage has 27K on Letterboxd, and it's about a man who meets an alien parasite, which it kind of looks like a talking penis,
I'm in.
and it latches onto the back of his neck
Uh-huh.
and secretes an extremely addictive ecstasy-like substance that just makes him so gleeful and happy. But then if he wants more of it, he needs to bring the parasite human brains,
Oh my gosh.
and it is brilliant. It's hilarious, it's ridiculous and campy and fun, but it's also tragic and sad as fuck. Frank Henenlotter had actual struggles with addiction in real life, and a lot of that is informing the movie. There's like a withdrawal scene where he like locks himself in a hotel room to try to get clean, and it's so insanely brutal. This is before Train Spotting or Requiem for a Dream, and like it's right up there. It's got a legitimately disgusting hotel room, which is like, I love that. I love legitimately disgusting hotel rooms in movies. Most of the time they look really nice, even when they're supposed to be disgusting. I'm like, no, just give me one that's actually gross, please.
Yeah.
David's had trauma about living in horrible hotels on sets.
Oh my gosh. I can't even imagine. I had like one motel horror story, and ever since then, I'm like, I don't think I can do this, guys.
I just like it when the movies are like not sanitizing reality, when it just
Yeah.
Yeah.
feels like this is what the world is. Frank Henenlotter's movies also always feel like this sort of portal into 80s, 90s New York, because he was always shooting on location and he would not hold back in how gritty all of that was. It's just a really good movie. At one point, the crew walked off because they were so offended by the scene. I don't even think it was anything abuse. They were just offended by the content, so they left.
Oh my god, yeah, that should be it. That should just be the review. Like, that's how you
Yeah.
get everybody to watch it. David, I love that you chose that one. One of my rules was, like, I don't want to pick a movie that I've talked about on this podcast before or, like, recommended on this podcast before. I think I've done it with this one, though, so I apologize. My number 2 is Ghost Watch.
Oh, this is kinda like the OG Late Night with the Devil, correct?
Yes, and this is why it's had a resurgence lately, so I'm like, it's like, kind of I wish more people watched it, but it really is so worth talking about. It was made in the 1992 in England, and it's about a news team who does a fun Halloween special report at a haunted house. It's based on the Enfield ghost haunting, which I think was, like, Conjuring
Oh.
2.
Yeah, the one in England, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's based off of that. Great, great moments of terror. And it's done so well. Like, the person starring it is actually a news anchor who is, like, known on
Oh,
television. And this was one of those things that was, like, very War of the Worlds where people turned it on, saw him, and was like, "Oh, this is real."
really?
Oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, I think it's on Shudder now. They brought it back when they were, like, releasing Late Night with the Devil. If you like found footage, you need to watch.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it found footage? Because that's before the found footage boom.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting about this one. It's not technically found footage because it is, like, shown as a TV special, but, like, it is found footage because of that.
Yeah, it's blending that realm. Like, is Spree found footage? Is Late Night with the Devil found footage? I mean, Late Night with the Devil also has the behind the scenes stuff. Is Host found footage?
No, I totally know what you mean. I always consider those to be a different we should now have a live footage genre where when you think found footage, you
Mm.
think like Blair Witch and like where it's like on a camera and stuff. If it's this like TV show or like a live, because that's like Goncham Haunted Asylum.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. It's a weird I would say, like, maybe, like, mockumentary, but also was, like, kind of early mockumentary. When did Spinal Tap come out?
Before that, 88?
New genre, a whole new genre. Alright, we are at the moment where we have our number ones. Wish more people watch this movie,
Oh,
starting
wow,
with
we are.
Gigi. Yeah, we are, we went fast.
Okay. Wow, that was quick. Okay, this one is a very recent one. So it makes sense that a lot of people haven't seen this, but it's like a very independent nobody really knows about it movie.
Ooh.
So, this movie is called Violet from 2023. I think it premiered like in Australia in 2023. It also had like a theatrical, probably like a limited theatrical release in the US, but it just got released on video on demand services like recently. And I thought it was absolutely incredible. It's about this mom. You can tell she's like a little sick or like a little off, and she's very overprotective and worried that something like really wrong is going to happen to her daughter. Like she's very overly cautious about her daughter getting like stolen or kidnapped or something going wrong with
Oh.
her. It has just very insane, creepy imagery. There's like one scene in the movie that literally just filled me with so much fear. Like, I put my like little blanket up and I was like, "Ooh, this is actually like kind of creepy." And I thought the twist was really great on it. It's just a really incredible film. And unfortunately, like a lot of people just don't know about it because it's just really independent. And yeah, it did, come out recently, but I think everybody should give it a shot.
It has 180 ratings.
She won. She did it.
It's so few that they don't even have, like, the average rating up.
Exactly. And I think it is, like, kinda divisive. I've
Mhm.
heard some people that are like, "It's absolutely phenomenal." Like, I've had friends give it, like, 5 stars, and then I had some people, like, give it 2 stars where they're like, "Oh, it's, like, okay or average," and I'm like, "I thought it was great."
Oh,
But I think I rented it on Prime Video.
okay.
Okay.
Adding to the list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wow.
give it a shot.
With 2 T's, Violet with 2 T's for
Yes.
those looking for it, because there's a lot of movies called Violet, so the second T will help you.
Yes.
Is there anyone in it that we know, or is the director anybody?
Written and directed by Stephen J. Mihaljevic.
Oh my god. David.
And I don't think so. Like, Georgia Ayers, she's also in a movie called Godless that is, like, getting its resurgence on TikTok right now,
Yeah.
but other than that, no, it's, like, a pretty low-key film. I don't even think the director I think this is honestly his first debut feature. Pretty new all
I
around.
love it.
Cool.
Discovered
Yeah.
here.
Heard it here first, folks.
Exactly. Violet with 2 T's.
All right, David, what is your number 1?
Well, like I said, my most obscure has 5K views and is streaming now on Tubi and Amazon Prime. And that is Habit, written and directed by Larry Fessenden of You're Next, Killers of the Flower Moon, Jacob's Wife. He's done so much stuff.
I'm glad you chose this one of Larry's movies, yeah.
I haven't seen it.
It came out in 1995. It is this like New York City vampire movie. And I mean, when you watch a movie that's directed by Larry, like his style is so interesting. Things sort of just unfold on screen, and you're just like, it feels almost documentary ish, even though it's not found footage in any way.
It's so gritty.
He meets this woman at a party, and I mean, she's a vampire.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler, but I mean that's
The
what you're
whole plot.
getting. But what do you expect? You know someone's a vampire.
Yeah, but it's like much of Larry's movies, it does explore addiction,
Mhm.
alcoholism. I haven't seen it in a few years. I haven't seen it since I first started working with Larry, and I had to watch all of his movies, and Larry is, like, half naked in those movies.
I've only seen Wendigo, and that's very gritty and dark and
Yes.
eerie, and he does have a certain style.
I also like Depraved a lot. And my little ulterior motive for picking this, Larry is also in Wild Animals, my short film.
How cool. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Click the link in the description to donate
Yeah, I
now.
know.
Yes, indeed. Or copy and paste depending on what you're using to listen to this. Wild Animals, we have Larry. I don't know why he agreed to do it, but he did. And I was so happy to have him. He's great to have on set and just such like a kind and patient person.
That is so cool. I can't wait to watch it.
Oh, Larry, I'm just going back to like what Gigi was saying at the top of the podcast too. I feel like pulling that one is so good because Larry is one of those guys who really found success early on in his career and gave that success back to a lot of filmmakers, specifically indie filmmakers.
Hmm.
Just little things that you do, guys, like Gigi does for reviewing movies, really means a lot and changes lives, which is weird, but it really is small things make a difference.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I know.
My number 1, I think it's a little more watched than these other ones, but it's another movie that, like, I just loved so much, and I feel like I never get to talk about it with people because they haven't seen it. So, again, it's me being like, "Hey, can you watch this so we can talk about it?"
Yeah.
It's Come True from 2018.
Oh, yeah, I watched this on your recommendation.
Yeah, there you go.
No, come true. I have not seen this.
It's a really wonderful small film. I think it's Canadian.
That was 2018? I thought it was later.
Oh, 2020. It's 2020. Thank you for calling me on that. How did you know? But this is about a teenage runaway who joins a sleep study and discovers that she's actually having these really dark nightmares about a singular creature. I don't want to spoil anything, but it does really great at diving deep into your nightmares, deep into your dreams, and talks a lot about dream theory. Great creature design. You like never really see the creature till the end. It has a big twist ending that I don't necessarily agree with. That's like the one thing I don't like about the film is the ending is kind of abrupt, but the whole movie is like a tense edge of your seat suspense sci-fi horror.
Okay, that sounds you've sold me. I love anything that has to do with like sleep theory, like, cause then you can play with hallucinations and nightmares, and it's I love that, like
Yeah.
just sensory stuff. So cool.
It's
It's
yeah.
also like beautifully shot.
The cover looks gorgeous.
It's shot in color, but it's almost like monochromatic in how like the whole movie is just drenched in blue. It makes you feel like you're dreaming. It's really cool.
They play around with that a lot. Were we talking about this during the recording or before the recording where we're like, yeah, anything based in reality that has that like connection, like you're gonna have to sleep. It's that stuff that's like really builds into the fear of everyday life that I'm like, ooh, creepy. I love it. We ended up having a list with so many more movies. So this was great. I love this conversation of just like, can we nerd out about movies that we have loved and nobody else has seen?
Yeah, there's so many more that we
Yes.
could have gone through.
I
Yeah.
know.
So
Oh my
many
gosh.
more.
Yes. I know. You guys, I'm gonna come back to the pod and it's gonna be like, okay, part 75 of movies that like we wish that people would have seen. Cause it's you just come up with so many too, like on, a weekly basis where you're just like, oh, I happen to just stumbled upon this deep cut.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to start a letterbox list now that's my deep cuts.
Even just like recording this, I was like, "Oh, Darling, I forgot Darling from
Oh,
2015," which is another just beautiful movie shot black and white.
is that Mickey Keating?
Yes, that's Mickey Keating.
So my boyfriend does not work in horror or film or anything. Mickey Keating was the intern at Larry's company before me and like obviously went on to
Mm.
do a lot of really amazing things. And I'm talking about it with my boyfriend. We're like 3 years into the relationship at this point. He's like, Mickey Keating? Like my Mickey Keating?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "He was his freshman year roommate in college."
What
Oh,
the fuck?
that is so
How
crazy.
weird and, like, so small world. College not in New York, by the way, like,
Oh
in
my
Massachusetts.
God.
Gigi, I am so happy we got you on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, I love talking about these movies, and obviously, this is, like, your bread and butter, so
Yeah.
you have so many recommendations to give people. Can you tell everyone where to find you and, like, what you're doing now?
Yeah, all of my social, so I'm on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Letterboxd. All of it is Room for Scream. And then I also do a weekly podcast with some other horror TikTokers
Hmm.
that are my really close friends. And our podcast name is Dark Screen Society. So kind of similar to like you guys, we pick like a topic or like have like a movie in mind that we want to watch. And yeah, either Room for Scream or Dark Screen Society, any support. I absolutely love and appreciate that.
Yeah, and we'll be linking again all of those in the show notes. So if you just open up their app, there she is.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, and looking forward to the next time we can bring you on for continuing these lists.
Yes, yes. Anytime I'd love to come back. This was so much fun.
Perfect. And you can find us, David and I, Cadaver Dogs Podcast, on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Cadaver Dogs Pod. We're on YouTube at Cadaver Dogs Podcast. And hit us up for who you want to see next as a guest on the show at cadaverdogspodcast@gmail.com.
And you can check out the Kickstarter for Wild Animals at kickstarter.com/wild-animals and just learn more about my short film. You don't have to pledge anything if you don't want. Just learn more and see what you think. I'm excited to share this. I think it's going to be really good.
Perfect. All right. See you, Mutts.
Peace.
Bye.